What is up, everybody? Welcome to the House of Holocrons, episode 70. In this one, we're going to be going over, of course, the recent Bad Batch episode, the penultimate episode, and then we will be covering a little bit of news first and talking about the future of the Batch, the future of the Clone Wars era, and something we've never dealt with in the Star Wars before, a period ending. So that's going to be a new one for a lot of us Star Wars fans. But to start things off, I know a lot of the vintage collection people are excited because whereas they haven't been getting as many announcements as Black Series, we have two new vintage collection figures that were already up for pre-order. Sadly, the Judge is already out. That's right, a Mandalorian Judge was announced, finally breaking the blue streak of all the Night Owls and Privateers that came before him. And then, of course, we also have the Cal Kestis Imperial Disguise, which I'm easily passing on that one. But it's a fun figure to get. People from the Fallen Order games and the Survivor games are really excited for that scene, especially when he unlocks some of his more dark side capabilities. So spoilers there if you haven't played that game yet. It's a fantastic storyline.
Yeah, the Mandalorian, I believe, is mostly just a kit bash of resculpts.
Yes.
I don't know if all those pieces have been resculpted in TBC, but
No, because he's
pretty
actually
sure.
inaccurate. From what a lot of people have shown, he doesn't have an accurate hit plate. He doesn't have a few accurate pieces here and there. It's mostly a kit bash repaint and then just thrown on with the nice card back. I'm still getting it because I'm just happy to see something that's not blue, but
Yeah.
it's what they do with all the Mandos. Not many of these Mandos are going to be complete and utter rekits and rescales because there's no sense in it for them when they're just really moving a plate a few centimeters to the left or right, even though we as collectors would love that. But it's still it's a good looking figure. It's a good looking paint job, I should say, if nothing else. And that's the main thing I like about the vintage collection is I can save just repaints for something like that. That's why I can't bring myself to want to get. Like, I still don't have the fleet commander as much as I love him. I'm not going to probably get the privateer or the Night Owl because it's just I'll just buy a Koska Reeves for $10 online eventually and then repaint it and have the same figure. I've done that once with a Bo-Katan I had, so I have a nice green Mandalorian that has a Night Owl armor design. It's fun. It's really fun to do for customizations.
Yeah, I got into it a bit before Black Series was a thing with the older figures. They were a lot cheaper
Yeah.
to do that with. And then I knew a community that used to do it, and I used to buy some that were better at painting than I was. But yeah, I got into the kit bashing a while back.
Yeah, it's a fun one.
A lot cheaper because
Yeah.
Black Series can get expensive.
Right, exactly. So we also, though, on the totally opposite side of expense into the very much expensive side, but very beautiful things, we have big announcements from Hot Toys coming out. They have been really pushing this dark side launch that they're going to be getting. I know we've had a announcement for a Darth Revan, and I believe it is
What is the traditional Darth Revan, and then we got the Star Killer, but in his Sith outfit, the one with the kind of claws.
And those are actually having con exclusives for Hong Kong and pre-order exclusives where you get like a limited time coin.
Yeah, they usually do like tiers. They'll do like a special edition, a con edition, and then the normal. I mean, usually the special edition is usually there's enough, unless it's a really wanted. Yeah, we got a couple announcements. We got a leak images of Palpatine. This one's probably the best Palpatine ever. Really good face sculpt. Awesome lightning effects. That's new, which is going to be really popular.
When the light up sabers and the lightning lights up, it's going to look so good.
They teased him with his throne seat and then two guards. So the royal guard. So they have it listed in there. So I'm assuming because they're doing these bundles now, and I'll get a couple of these others later. And they have like the triple, and then they also did the dark droids. So they did 000, which is the dark from the comic.
And also, Dr. Aphra's like #1 sidekicks for a little while. So if you're a big Aphra fan, these are huge.
Yeah, and the BT1 comes with electric fingers and everything, and 000 comes with all the cool attachments, and these are you're getting your money's worth for sure.
Yeah.
and then they're doing new stormtroopers. With and these ones are updated for Return of the Jedi. Specifically,
Nice.
they're considered the Death Star set, and they have, I believe, you can get the special edition that has a light up. Yeah, has an LED Death Star back panel drop, so it's like a physical. Looks like you're standing on just guarding a portion of the Death
Oh,
Star.
that's awesome. That's
And
really
it
cool.
comes with two of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a cool piece to have for sure. And then they're adding on to the Chrome clone series they did before
Hmm.
with a Chrome Commander Cody. I believe this is Phase One Commander Cody. I don't see. Oh no, it comes with multiple helmets, so it does have the
Okay.
multiple phases. You can
That's
change phase,
awesome.
but it's full metallic shiny chrome.
Hmm.
They did that one with just the standard trooper. I don't think they've done any other troopers, but we'll probably see Rex and some others.
Yeah, that's really
Um,
awesome though.
and that's it. We're gonna see more though. There's been some
Oh
other
yeah.
images teased, but
From what
those
they've
are the ones
teased in that
confirmed
dark
this
side
week.
image, we have a lot more Sith coming up too. And again, those light up
Yeah,
lightsabers with this like USB power supply bank look so cool. Man, again, the money if I had it to just throw at
yeah.
Hot
It's
Toys, they'd have it.
it's stuff that used to could rig in the past, where you'd have to make your own panels and
Hmm.
everything else. Now they're adding these background pieces and
Yep.
lights up background, light up pieces. And so the Hot Toys is really, they were used to be the cheaper, but
Yeah.
now they are definitely taking the forward step and being the premier um,
But being worth
collectible
it, man,
pieces.
being worth it. Like as much as
Yeah,
I've always said it's too expensive for my blood just because I'm just broke half the time. If I saved up enough to get one, it would be worth every penny. I wouldn't be upset with my purchase whatsoever. They're so
yeah,
gorgeous.
they're doing an updated Rex. I've got a Rex from the final season, and he's pretty much one of my favorite pieces. I have an
Yeah.
older Boba Fett that is less quality, but that's from years ago. This
Hmm.
one's still about 4 years.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it's even that old. But it's these things are awesome, full cloth. And if and a lot of if it has a big heavy cloth, they'll put wires in it so you can pose the
Hmm.
cloth like
Yep.
they're moving. They'll come with stands, so you can pose them in the air. And then multiple attachments, like usually about six different hands on each side, so you can do pointing and you can adjust them. You can hold weapons, and they usually come with multiple weapons if they had multiple, like Rex has
Yeah.
most of his pistols, and then he came with a rifle.
Like
Um,
every real
yeah,
figurehead's dream, that's what it is. Totally posable, super realistic, multiple accessories, multiple
and
head and hand
that well,
sculpt. It's just
the head sculpts have gotten so much better. They
mm-hmm.
did Anakin
Yeah.
earlier
Oh
at
man,
the
that
beginning of
Anakin
April.
one is
And the
gorgeous.
newest, I believe it's episode 2, Anakin. It's a Clone Wars
Yeah.
Anakin, and his face sculpt is clean. No, I think it's the Anakin from the Ahsoka, but it's the Clone
Yes, it's
Wars.
Clone Wars from Ahsoka, so he has his Clone Wars armor on, but it is 1,000% Hayden Christensen.
Yeah, it's if you get
It's almost
immortalized
like a
as a hot
small voodoo
toy,
doll.
it's like because that would be my dream is to make myself as a Star Wars action figure, like to
Yeah,
be on the screen long enough to like that's me
that would be
by myself
amazing.
in store. But by myself with a, I don't know, that'd be kind of creepy to have like a head sculpt myself on.
I'd do it. I'd do it. I know me. Now thinking about it, I'd do it. It'd be too much fun. We're also getting some amazing comics that have recently dropped. As you can see, we have the Jango Fett #2 that came
Yeah,
out. Loving that one. Darth Maul's Black, White, and Red, which is an absolutely gorgeous series that only uses those three colors to tell the story. So what a perfect character. The
and
last
I
one
hear
was
that
with
too.
Vader, and it was really good. This one has been
Yeah, I hear
awesome.
the Darth Maul one is really good. When it hits my ears, because I don't really follow the comics as close as
Yeah,
you, I know it's good because
yeah.
and that's the Darth Maul one I've heard was
Yeah,
really
it's
good.
it's so good already. It's such an absolutely amazing comic. I'm thrilled to see where that story is going to continue on. We've also got New High Republic with New High Republic Adventures today, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
Phase 3 is really kind of moving along. A really big one for me, honestly. The Living Force author, he did a pre-order thing. Was actually he had this cool thing where now I got a signed sticker
Nice.
for my book. So that's kind of always fun when you are a big book
Is
nerd to get authors' signatures and stuff.
So it is the author. Okay,
Yeah, John
that's
Jackson
cool.
Miller. Also wrote some of my favorite comics. He wrote the Knights of the Old Republic comics. And so that signature is also pretty special for me in that. I almost slapped it on one of my Knights of the Old Republic comics, but
No, you don't want to do that.
right, exactly. So I just put it in the book.
Yeah, you might as well wait to see if you can ever catch him to sign him.
Oh, he's been to Planet Comic Con before, so I'm sure he would happily return. Maybe one of these days we'll get him on the podcast for an interview. That'd be fun.
Yeah, we have some traveling, but most of the people coming around where I'm at are mostly anime.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so nothing Star Wars, sadly. I don't usually get into big names.
Yeah,
Yeah, we did get a trailer drop. I think
yeah.
yesterday.
We've gotten a few
It's
teasers
citing
as well.
the movie that's dropping for May 4th.
Yep.
Yeah, the re-release of episode one. It's an awesome trailer. It had some behind the
Mm,
scenes work, and it was also kind of presented in a similar format to the original.
yeah.
Definitely gave me the feeling of '90s. I
Oh
instantly
man.
wanted,
And
I instantly
again,
wanted to go
when
wait out line of the theater
yeah,
now.
when you hear that musical score kick in and you see both sides of that lightsaber activate, it took me right back to being a kid again, and I was just thrilled. I got goosebumps. I love Phantom Menace so much because of that nostalgia that it pumps right into me so hard. It's such an amazing movie because it just I was 6 years old when I saw it in theaters, so like it was my Star Wars in theaters. You know, it was the Star Wars I got to see in theaters. So of course it's always gonna have a special place in my heart. That's why I look
Yeah,
forward
so
to it.
that's the look for May the 4th as
Mm-hmm,
well.
mm-hmm.
We should see a lot more. I know we're getting a lot more drops with Hot Toys,
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Especially
And I
on May
heard,
the 4th, which is also going to be free comic book day, so look out for that.
and it seems like we're getting more and more Dark Side. I was
Oh,
hoping this
yeah.
would be the year of the Dark Side, but
So stoked.
I haven't seen enough Dark Side products to call it that. I know
Yeah.
like Hot Toys is and some of the others, but I wish Star Wars would acknowledge it's the year of the Dark Side and they just full of force Dark Side it. But
I feel like with the Acolyte, that'll probably help a lot more too, because the Acolyte's going to push a lot more of that dark narrative. So they're going to have to. They can't keep us in the shadows forever. Um, but I'm really enjoying the May the 4th. I think it's going to be really fun this year. It's going to be filled with a lot of fun excitement for announcements. Of course, we have Tales of the Empire dropping, and sadly though, right before May the 4th, we have May the 1st. And it's a happy, sad time because it will be the last episode, the last Wednesday that we spend with our buddies from the Bad Batch. As we just, of course, recently wrapped up this penultimate episode, and it left some people wanting. It left a lot of people
yeah,
ready to see what happens next. We're going to talk about that definitely. Um,
yeah, it is like you said, it is starting to seem like it's going to be an end of an era, which is
yeah,
both good and bad. Um, we still have the post Civil War
yeah.
with the Ahsoka, and then we are getting the Mando movie. I
Mm-hmm.
think, are we getting another Mando season? I think we are, aren't we?
Yes, you're getting into the Mando
Yeah.
season 2.
And then we are still the only thing roughly in that time frame that we are for sure still getting is Andor season two. Well, we
Yep.
definitely won't see clones in that.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, we did see some in the first one, but there were it was a small point,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if they were clones or just stormtroopers wearing the clone armor because they didn't have the Bad Batch style stormtrooper armor yet. I don't know,
Right.
but
It's going to be interesting
yeah,
because this is going to be the last like real thing set in the Clone Wars era that's animated. Tales of the Empire, of course, is going to be
yeah,
set after Clone Wars. Um,
yeah. After Andor,
again, and you're
probably gonna
right.
be all of
It really isn't the end of it because we'll have a few other things here and there, references from
it.
Ahsoka and with the Mandalorian, even though that is pre-Empire, but
Yeah,
or not pre, but post-Empire, I should say.
well, it's different because we've kind of known where things were heading
Mm-hmm.
roughly,
Yeah,
but after this, it's
open.
we're not sure.
That is
And
cool
then,
though.
but if you look ahead,
Mm-hmm.
post the Mando movie, outside of the main movies, and
Yeah.
then the possibly, we get into the sequel if we're getting a second season we haven't heard yet.
Mm,
Um, of Acolyte, and then besides the Dawn of the Jedi, like we don't know where things are going. Are they going to start dipping more at the Dawn of the Jedi? Are they going to
yeah.
go more and more in the High Republic? I don't. The whole Mando live action, and it's similar movies. Are we going to
Yeah.
get more live action, just different time period? We have no idea.
And it's exciting in that scary way too,
Yeah,
because it is nice to get away from it and to get things where we don't know where it's going to end. But it is sad that it seems like this isn't going to end on the happiest of notes. Like, it seems like the Clone Wars, the era that a lot of people have really grasped onto, it's not going to end with a lot of like happy cheers and a big cookout. It's going to end with a lot of laser fire. It's going to end with a lot of people being lost and gone. It's going to deal with a lot of pain, and it's unlike a lot of the other eras, which end on a happy note because a Jedi saves the day. But with these clones, there's no Jedi to save them. They really were just kind of like tossed into the ether and just given away to nothingness,
but
and it sucks.
they
But
were used as cannon
mm,
fodder. They were used uh, to kill off the Jedi for bad purposes.
yep,
And then once they were used and abused, they were just abandoned or killed off, or
yeah,
and then for the non Star Wars side of things, where our fan perspective, you think about how many fans got into Star Wars or really back into Star Wars during the Clone Wars era,
hmm,
where it's been active with the Clone Wars TV show, the
yeah,
movies. Um, Besides, like the older people that got into it with the original movies,
mm,
most of us have seen Clone Wars nonstop.
yeah,
It's been in a mix of both, and now I mean we had droughts and stuff, but to put a pin in it, it's something I asked for, but it's that am I ready to see no more Clone Wars?
right,
It'd be awesome to see something new without like worrying about if it's going to
hmm,
cut into some canon effect or
right,
timeline effect, because eventually you can only go so far without bumping. And if you want to make a big impact in this cool fantastic scene, you got to watch out for was Anakin on that
hmm.
planet at that time, or were the Bad Batch there, or
You know,
whatever. So
if they're smart and they keep this Tales of the something kind of like animation thing going, Tales of the Clones would be a good one to do in like a year or two.
yeah,
After the Clone Wars has been really moved away from, we've kind of like focused on a lot of other things. And then you give us that nice little
yeah,
nostalgic bait, and you give us Tales of the Clone Wars, where it's just like Commander Gree on Kashyyyk fighting, where we never heard anything about him on Kashyyyk fighting, so it's a totally open book where you can do whatever you want
yeah.
within that area.
Well, and I feel like there's still some to tell, and so
Hmm.
having that would be great.
Yeah,
If they did next year Tales of the Clone, I don't know what they want to call it.
yeah.
And they have one side maybe do Cody, because we can't bring in Cody just for that part and have such a big impact and not ever
Man, I
touch
am
on it
so.
again.
How have we? I'm still really shocked we have not seen Cody at all yet
And
in Bad
then
Batch. I'm honestly surprised.
and then the other side, if they do it in pairs,
Hmm.
the one character they brought back to life, they could do her.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they just bring her back to life for Asajj for no reason.
Right.
Like besides, like, yeah, she's alive, but then what?
Hmm.
Are we even gonna see her in the next episode? And if we do for one episode, I don't know if I'm gonna be happy with that.
Yeah.
Um,
They seem to have really left this story with Asajj completely wide open and just like that. It's so wide open. If they don't do something with it, I'll be more upset
yeah,
because then it's like, well, what didn't happen then? What happened? You can't tell us
if we
nothing.
if we're not getting a series like a comic or anything,
Hmm.
Um, I think it'd be cool to do Tales of the Clone, and then have Commander Cody,
Yeah.
and go show some like periods of him leading up, and then going to him leading a clone rebellion. Then also Asajj, her kind of like little spots,
Yeah.
even acknowledging some spots from the book of her meeting um, what's his name
Quinlan.
Quinlan, thank you, meeting him and then some stuff like that, and
Yeah.
then they do the and then they just show them like rescuing people with the path and stuff like that. I think would be an awesome series. It
Right.
would be two different versions of the storyline because it's all happening at the same time. She's liberating Jedi, and he's liberating the clones in a revolt.
Yeah.
Um, which eventually they both will struggle and possibly fail against the Empire.
Right. And give some closure there too. See, they've done this weird thing where like a lot of at first there was almost nothing to open. They opened
Yeah.
something and they would close it in the story. They would open something and then they would close it. But now they've really just kind of like opened a lot of cans and just let the worms kind of like out. And now it's just kind of like who's dealing with that can and who's gonna close it? Who's gonna put these worms together to make everything make sense?
Yeah. That's and they
And
they
I'm
did
not
that with
upset,
this.
not
They did
complaining.
that with Ahsoka too. So that's what I'm like. I'm worried. I'm like,
Yeah,
just you don't have to close it tight.
yeah.
I don't need a solid ending, but give us. You can't just trickle the bait in front of us and just walk away.
Mm-hmm. And again, yeah, it's the most brought up subject other than the acolyte on this podcast is make sure that Ray Stevens, as much as we love his Ray Stevenson's time as Balin Skull, it needs to continue on. We need
Yeah,
more people. It needs to be continued with that story because it's a
it's
beautiful story.
that's a good storyline. Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
so we just can't leave things this open with these awesome people and then not touch it. Where's
And
Cody?
and we can't. We have also Shin.
Yeah.
She has potential to be a good character. I mean, she was a good character, but we didn't get a lot of her.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and she was walking in an awesome shadow, so
Yeah.
it's not her fault. Um, but yeah, they had so many cool potential with that, and some doors open. And then and then Cody, you can't just like mention Cody for an episode of like him trying to figure out what's going
Mm-hmm.
on, and then never touch on it again.
Right, not once, not at all, nothing. That's not how that works. We need to know what's going on with Cody because he's been an integral part of our lives since what, like 2004 or something is when Clone Wars started dropping, like the series. I don't know. It's been a minute. It's been a
I
very
mean,
long time.
well, I mean, he was in the movies originally.
Yeah, he
Um,
was in the original Attack of the Clones.
he didn't have many lines, but he was there.
Yeah.
He was we saw him with Obi-Wan. He
Yep.
was
Revenge of the Sith. Yeah.
so it was we have these epic characters, and then again, like you brought Sash back to life. You're not gonna just bring her back to life just for the Omega part.
Right.
And then if we are ending with this era, are they going to close the door with Omega? Or are we just
Mm-hmm.
gonna leave it wide open?
Well, especially
I'm
if
more.
Omega lives, then now we're going to be even more
Yeah,
curious as to what did she do, though.
I'm a huge fan of the Bad Batch. You can
Mm-hmm.
tell I have a lot of Hunter stuff, and I have a lot of just Bad Batch stuff in general. But even me as a person, if we're starting to close doors, I'm fine with leaving things off pretty easy with the Bad Batch, either killing them off or them retiring. I'm more
Yeah.
interested to see what they do with Omega. You can't just
I'm. S-
introduce a force sensitive, kid that has
yeah.
started. You're literally starting to develop a cool character, which
Mm-hmm.
you do with a series like this. You did this with Ahsoka, and just she's somewhere else. Not gonna leave it
Right.
alone.
Or like even if I'll still be sad if she's just like in a tank tube somewhere being siphoned, DNA off of to make Palpatine point three. That's just I'm like, oh, that's a horrible life. Like she deserves so much better, but I love that it actually like went through with
Yeah,
that. If it's a sad ending, I won't be mad. If it's a good ending, I won't be mad. Like I'm ready for an ending though. But it's also it's that bittersweet readiness because I know that
yeah.
there's so many new things coming out. It's so exciting, and again with the High Republic on the horizon. How amazing is that? I never in a million years thought anything High Republic was really going to come out, and I heard the Acolytes rumors, and then I was like, okay, it's going to be cool. Probably going to get changed. Nope, it is High Republic. It is going to be very different. There are a lot more aliens in this one. I can already tell. It's being tackled very well by. I love the director, and if you don't, I don't really care. So yeah, I think it's just going to be a really fun time for Star Wars with again this focus on dark side for the first time in ever, really ever. Like even in the edgy '90s and the edgy early 2000s with Darth Maul, like this horned, crazy, badass, dual-bladed lightsaber wielding dude, it was still never as dark as now. The High Republic books. Hey, if you guys don't know, the bad guy is winning. Like pretty much in those books, Markion Rowe is the main bad guy, and he's winning for most of it. This is not a time where it's all like light and dance and happy go lucky. I mean, the kids show, Young Jedi Adventures, literally one of the latest episodes. They're doing the Starlight Beacon introduction ceremony. Do you know what happens a few days later? Bad things. A lot of people, maybe those kids, might not make it off of that place.
If the Starlight Beacon just blew up, it wouldn't be as bad.
Yeah.
And then they didn't just blow it up. They did it. There's a lot. Read the book. It's pretty graphic.
Right. We have, and then again, Acolyte, Tales of the Empire. We're getting all of these just new, awesome, crazy things that we've just never seen before. We're like Jedi Survivor shows bleeding crystals. If it's your crystal, is done apparently far more easy, and like we're getting these rogue Jedi with Ezra and Cal. The Force and Star Wars and the Jedi, it's all changing for the future, and I think it's going to be really cool. I think it's going to be a really, really exciting future for Star Wars.
I was surprised. I still see. I shouldn't poke around in comments and forums about, and I keep seeing people trashing the Acolyte and the Acolyte trailer. It's so strange. I don't even think they even watch it because,
right?
Like, do you watch the same trailer? You're talking about how boring and how terrible it looks, but it's literally the same thing you're asking for with the lightsaber fighting. And this is coming from somebody that is more into a lot of the trooper action.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of bounty hunters and troopers. I like that more than just constant Jedis. Just they're annoying and pretentious. But even it's like, how do you look at that trailer and be like, oh, that looks terrible, and you literally are begging for it?
You've been wanting every post before the Acolyte came out was why is it so PC? I want more action. I want more dark side. And then the Acolyte comes out and they go, it's woke. I hate it. It's trash. They're just bad people.
I saw one where it was a reaction of they're like seeing how many white men were in the trailer, and I think they counted one, but like count how many humans are in the trailer. Like there's not hardly any.
Right, which is the point. You're really not gonna like the books, The High Republic, if your problem is there's not enough white dudes, because there's like none.
Two of the main characters, one does go away, is a white guy. So there are white guys as main characters.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're trying to fight like a message.
The problem is it's not representation in Star Wars has never been forced. It's just for the first time the majority is seeing what it feels like to not be the majority.
I will say that some of those interviews that are the ones that everybody quotes wasn't done very well, and I wish they could have thought that better. Because now it's just like that's like the big focal points of like they show back to that interview with some of the couple of the actors and the director and how like it's a new Star Wars and all this stuff, and they're right, but it's now used as a weapon because it wasn't the best interview.
But so many of them are also so misleading too, because it's like so many of them are from interviews that were about totally different things, or so many of them are from interviews that were like literally poignantly towards different stuff. And like that one lady who was like, yeah, I come from a very strong female lead part, because this, family is led by women for Star Wars. And then she's the leader of a female coven. Like, yeah, so she's not even like, she wasn't saying she's taking a man's job. She was just saying this female character is female centric with a female led coven. Like, you're reaching for straws.
Well, it's a combination of what she's allowed, because we got to remember she's only allowed to say so much.
Yeah, and
Because at
you're
the
on
time that
stage
was
hyped and all excited.
it was an early announcement for the
Mm-hmm.
public of accolades, so they could only give so much information away, and
Right.
so she was being vague, and in her being vague, it did come off for people that don't want uh, you know, women to be in Star Wars or have a prominent role. It really, caused them to want to hate it for sure.
Yeah. Well.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it's you gotta watch the show. You've watched worse. I know the shows you people watch to see your complaints,
If you can
and
sit there and watch The Office for a 9,700 bajillionth time,
hey,
you can watch The Acolyte.
you can't trash The Office, okay? I mean,
Yeah,
some of the
okay.
later seasons are kind of bad, but it's that's peak writing right there, okay? So it's good.
You've only seen
You
it
can't,
7,000 times.
I haven't, but I've seen them all for sure.
Right. But yeah, just give it a shot. It's going to be a great time. Now, speaking of giving it a shot, I really thought we were going to be giving the Bad Batch a shot with this one, and we
Yeah,
were going to finally get like a huge, explosive amount of buildup. Buildup, yes, we got. Man, not to the degree I thought we were going to get.
yeah. I felt like they were
A little
trying to hype
weird.
us with a couple things, but
Yeah,
I was like, oh, that look, I know what that is. That's cool. Um, okay, it's not what I thought they were going to do, but
yeah. I mean, because they make it, they make it through the thing. They, of course, are immediately recognized. Like Tantus, I'll
yeah,
give them this. This is probably one of the most well operated Imperial bases ever. The second they see any hole in any breach or any type of like security risk, they're all over it like a swarm of
well,
fly on shit.
outside of like, well, that's the thing is like I'm tired of seeing like on-screen representation
Mm-hmm.
of the Empire like being inept
Right,
when and every other material we get of the Empire they're clearly not. And
right.
then and if you like read between the lines of the Empire, they're clearly not inept when you get in with the
Yeah,
main characters in the movies
because they
and in some
won.
of the shows. And so, well, it's also supposed to be like for kids, so they're like, kind of mix slapstick humor with some of it. And I'm talking about when we get to some of the
Yeah,
cartoons and stuff, like Rebels,
right.
and they're not. I mean, they're literally running the galaxy with a tight fist. I mean, you can't get that without being one of the strongest
Mm-hmm.
militaries in the galaxy, with the literal strongest military in the
Yeah.
galaxy.
And man, yeah,
So
they detach, they immediately get shot down, but they do a good trick where they pretty much are repelling. They have to save Rampart. Rampart has to go with them. Like
yeah,
he's now being drug along whether he likes it or not, because
it's like
if he stays
I don't
behind,
know
he's
what
dead.
he's. Yeah, it's like I don't. He's like I'm not going down there. Like, what do you think's about to happen?
Like, yeah, you don't have to
They're
go with
getting
us,
shot
but
down.
yeah, I don't know what you're gonna think is gonna happen with this ship because it's going down hard and fast. But I like that too. Even when the ship crashes, they go, "All right, send a team to make sure and search it because we're not taking any chances here." And it's a good
And they
thing because, of
find,
course, they don't find any bodies.
yeah, they do a really good job. They immediately see them and they're like send squadron right away.
Yep.
Squadron shoots them down. They're not crashing or running into each other. There's some crazy maneuvering.
Mm-hmm.
That all they just somehow know how to fly a shuttle and do these crazy. Well, not that they can't fly a shuttle, but the weird flip maneuver.
That was so
Um,
cool, though. That was an awesome
Yeah, I
hunter.
just
Yeah.
but I just don't, I just can't imagine a shuttle being able to maneuver like that. But they're not
Rule of cool.
nimble.
Rule of
But yeah,
cool.
and they still get shot down.
Yeah.
And then he immediately sends several, and this time not just one squad like he did the first time. He sends multiple squads out there, and they just constantly, and then they find the crash, and there's
Mm-hmm.
no bodies, so they spread out the radius. We get that at the same time because they get the cannons firing.
Yeah.
So Omega hears it, and she's like, "My brothers are coming," so she's trying to escape.
And she's trying to figure out like a good plan and stuff. And really, again, because this episode, we're gonna kind of cover the main points here soon and be done because there's the them landing and them just attempting to survive. They all come
Yeah,
together and they're trying to get to the fortress to help get Echo because he's still stuck on the ship, of course. and then Omega is trying to escape. Well, she does get into the walls, which was awesome to see. Like
I don't know where they sent the rest of the team. Echo's done more.
Yeah. Oh, dude, Echo's done so much. Oh my
Echo's literally
gosh.
carrying everything right now.
But
He
Echo's still
snuck
aboard the
onto
enemy
that.
ship.
He stuck onto that shuttle.
Yep.
He got a disguise. He found the manifest. He found everything. He's found where she's at. Found yeah. Well, I'm not gonna get to the hand later, but he found where she was and knows she's on base. He's found all the information. He's literally like, why did the rest of them even come? You know, it's like. But yeah, the hand part irritated me. Is like, why didn't he do that all along? Like, why hasn't he had a hand the entire time? Why did it take that long to get a hand?
He doesn't want a hand, man. He's proud of his robotness.
But it's clearly you can't grab stuff with it. Like
right.
You're just handicapping yourself for no reason. But he clearly can have a hand there.
But yeah, he uses his hand for a little bit. He wears some TK armor. Sneaks right off, no problem. You know, he's really surviving this and meets Emery. Has a nice little talk with Emery. That's probably setting up a lot for the next episode where things are going to happen. And I don't know if Echo's going to make it out of this one alive either, though. Like, I'm getting worried. I don't know what's going to happen with Wolf. He needs to get a hold of Rex soon or something.
Yeah, they have to. I know the part is the cavalry come.
Mm-hmm.
I think it might refer to what we get teased in this episode.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I don't know how they're going to get off without destroying the whole base. But, you know, my guess is at the last second somebody shows up. They have to transmit their location, which is probably what Echo's going to have to do. Because otherwise, there's no way to get off the base.
I would foresee it as Echo has to do it and Emery allows it. Or, like, Emery's going to somehow, like, not... She's going to do the whole, like, no, they went that way when they went that way kind of thing. Like, she's going to help them somehow.
You're gonna end up getting killed, though.
Oh yeah, she's totally dead. She's 1,000% dead for her. She's discovered she has a heart, and she's gonna die because of it.
But she already kind of been teasing, and every time she a moral quandrum. She always gets caught. Like, every time they catch her, and they give her so many chances. I don't know why, but.
So this next episode is gonna be heavy because it's gonna have to. I mean, and it doesn't look like it's any longer. Like I wasn't seeing it being crazy long, and there's no surprise new episode. I mean, hey, maybe there's a surprise episode they've been keeping away from us, and it's a 2-parter, and we just don't know. That'd be awesome. But like, no, I'm pretty sure this next episode is gonna be it, and they're just gonna wrap it all up violently, like a lot.
Yeah, other than that, we just we get them fighting off a space bear, and then
Rampart the next biggest reveal.
Rampart gets caught.
You think that space bear is a big ugly monster? Oh, just wait.
We also got Wrecker got hurt from the bear.
Wrecker's been getting hurt a lot lately.
Yeah, he hasn't really been pulling his weight as much in this season as he had been in the previous.
Poor Rick.
Yeah, we get a reoccurring character that we've seen in the Clone Wars, and we've seen, I believe, previously in the Bad Batch, where it's been cloned. And so they go off their previous cloning experiments.
While Omega is siphoning through the air ducts and
not getting crushed somehow.
Right, the Force. It's the Force. That's what I was going to call it. If she's high midichlorians, so it's the Force.
I was waiting for the go.
Yeah,
it's just take her head off.
Bink. But she finds the Zillo Beast just chilling in a big old vat, being shocked and cloned and tested on and stuff. So they're gonna free the Zillo Beast, and in all of that, and all of that carnage, that's how they're gonna escape. This next episode's gonna be nuts.
She clearly hasn't thought things through.
Yeah.
She knows her brothers are there, and she wants to really. I know she's got to understand this.
Yeah,
thing.
no, bro. She's good with animals. Monster. She's good with animals.
She's also going to be. What about all these little children? Like,
she's good with animals.
One of them has to be carried. It's just and the other, one can't talk.
The Zillo Beast would be listen. The Zillo Beast is going to be so busy killing things in white armor.
She's going to ride it out.
Yeah, bro. She's going to ride the Zillo Beast out of there. Now we're talking. No, I just think this little beast is going to be so preoccupied killing its tormentors that it's not going to bother with three, four kids, a baby, and weird looking clones.
And we're about to probably gonna see Scorch run into Echo. I'm assuming next
Yeah.
episode. Might be what happens to
I
Echo.
was really hoping they would be Gregor. Man, I was really hoping this episode we would already have like a bit of a team together and like there'd be more planning and stuff, but they really want us to be on the edge of our seats for this entire finale.
Well, I'm not as on edge as I thought. I even gave my wife a brief because she gets mad and things go bad.
Yeah.
And like this is second last episode. We know they're going to go on the base and everything. Something bad's gonna because we don't think the team's gonna make it because how the
Right.
timeline goes.
Yeah.
The good guys are gonna eventually lose because he clones himself. The Empire makes the Death Star and all
Yep.
this stuff. So we know the good guys are gonna lose in this series. So just be prepared. And then I was like, well,
Yeah.
never mind. That was like it's like another filler episode almost.
Right. But that's almost more terrifying then because that means then this next
Yeah.
episode is going to be just that much more jam packed. Because they're again,
Better
and
be.
like, dude, they got 30 minutes to make this entire series
I
come
swear
to
to
an end.
God, if I don't see Cody leading a revolt on planet with Gregor and Rex and then all of a sudden all the bounty hunters show up and then Quinlan and
Man, it's gonna be nuts. It's
Visage
gonna
and
be nuts when they just like kill the Bad Batch, keep Omega captive, and it just ends, and that's it. And there's no happiness. There's no solution. There's just okay, bye. Have a wonderful time.
it'd be so awesome if he wasn't so full of himself and when he knew the
Bro.
bad guys they were gonna the Bad Batch was gonna show. He like messages the Emperor's like, hey, we got a problem. Because you know what the Emperor, the first thing he
Yeah.
would do is send Darth Vader.
Yeah, true.
You know how cool that would have been to have Darth Vader show up?
Yeah, that would have been really, really dope. That would have been really, really, really cool for a brief moment. The only lightsaber to have ever been seen in the Bad Batch
Yeah.
was Anakin and Darth Vader. Same guy.
Yeah, I did think it'd be cool, like an early Darth Vader, because we saw him
Caleb
in
Dune
in
and
Rebels and stuff.
yeah.
I think it'd be cool, but
But who knows how it's going to go? I highly doubt Darth Vader's going to be involved. I have no idea if Rex is going to be involved. I have no idea who's going to be involved in what or how they're going to be doing any of it because there's just so little.
I just see a lot of
Two
named
left.
characters that I can't see living past this episode. Can't see Hemlock continuing. I can't see
Yeah.
most of the Bad Batch. I can't see Rampart
Oh,
continuing.
bro, Rampart, yeah. Yeah, I swear to God, he can't. He's annoying son of a.
It's like I know it's a kid show, but like you don't have to keep babysitting the guy.
Well,
It's
and
just,
not to mention though, this is like this is a kid show, but this next episode's not going to be a kids show.
I'm just saying, like, why babysit Rampart on like this top secret base? Just leave him on the ship.
All right, bye. You can figure it out for yourself. You're free now.
Get a spare set of clone armor and throw
Yeah.
them on, so at least think one of you's dead.
Right. I'm excited, but I'm also hesitant because there's so much that needs to be done, and I feel like that's what's scaring me so much right now. Or I shouldn't say it's the hesitation. Whatever hesitation I have towards this being a fantastic finale is simply,
But yeah,
man, there's a lot to do, and I feel like there's a lot to do, but there's really not. I guess.
it just feels like the story's been really slowed down these past episodes. I'm hoping it's gonna ramp.
Yeah.
I have the strongest fear, like you said, that they're not going to finish the story. That it's just going to end, and there's going to be so many things left open, and then no more Bad Batch, no more of this era. We're moving on.
Yeah.
Which I want them to do, but like we mentioned early in this podcast, like you don't have to have a whole new show. Just give the answer. I just want a little idea. I like these characters. I'd like to know. I think the character that probably needs a good, solid, an idea where they continue is probably Omega the most.
Yeah.
Because in the end, this whole show it does focus on the Bad Batch, but you could argue she is the main
I was
character.
gonna say
Like
it kind of turned into the Omega show.
you literally build her up through the entire series and develop her character like Ahsoka,
Yeah.
and then just like, well, show's over. You know, the credits scene.
Dude, that'd be so gnarly. It's like, yeah, just like Ahsoka, we're building this character up over these amazing 2 seasons, and she died. Hey, no, she died. By the way, she's dead. What? Yeah, she's dead. They're all dead. Everybody died. What?
Yeah. Well, you'll find out if I threw my remote at my TV or not.
It's gonna be gnarly because it's either gonna go somehow, it's gonna be so packed full of craziness and be like, I don't know how they did it, but they got everyone in there and they all got out and this was so cool. That was so great. That was so crazy. I don't even know what happened. Or it's gonna be, oh my
Yeah.
god, that was the most dark thing I've ever seen. Everyone died.
I just want answers. That's all I'm saying. I don't need complete answers, but I need something.
Just a few
I'm fine with
smidgens,
people.
a
You
little
want to kill some
answer.
people off? I'm good with it.
Dude,
I
knock a few
I
out. Let's go.
I don't want it to end, and they're like flying off into space.
Mhm.
I'm afraid that's gonna happen. They're gonna somehow break out, get on the ship, and it's
Yeah.
just gonna fly off.
Yeah.
And then it's gonna credits, and that's the show.
Yeah, I won't be happy about that either. I would be very upset because I know they can do better. Because I know without any doubt in my heart that they could easily do better than that. And it deserves better than that. If this is going to be the finale for the Clone Wars, if this is it, if we are really wrapping up the Clone Wars saga, an era that, like we've talked about, revitalized Star Wars and really got a lot of new blood in it, we can't just send it off with a whimper. It can't just be like, oh wow, they all got shot in the back slowly and everything was on fire and it's just, man, doesn't that suck? But I also don't want it to be like everybody lived happily ever after and they live on the planet Pabu where they all hold hands and sing and drink out of a coconut. I don't want that either. I'm a complex man and I want complex things, but damn it, Star Wars, you're scaring me because you've got like 28 minutes, 33 minutes, something like that to do it with this next episode. That's not a lot of time. That's not a lot of time. I'm terrified.
I'm afraid that they're gonna go back to that planet because the Empire left that planet. When does the Empire leave a planet alone, especially that was harboring
Bro.
fugitives that they've been looking for?
And when all you got to do is blow up one small little island, like that place would have been erased.
And they just left it alone, which is perfect for the ending of the final episode when they just leave and go
Right back to Pabu, and no one ever thinks to look there again.
drink Mai Tais and
Man, if this is a poor ending, it's going to add so much fuel to the fandom menace fire. It's because then they'll be like, oh, you see what they did, man? The last real beacon of Star Wars, they lit it on fire and they took a poop on it.
I like this characterization you made. They don't even probably like this show, do they? Because it's got Omega as the main character.
I'm sure they hate the shit out of it, even though they watch it every single episode. But I feel like that darkness is also just in line with the rest of this year. The Acolyte's going to be dark. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be a lot of death and turmoil in it, I'm sure.
It better be. I want to be pissed off. I want to hate a character.
Oh, I want to hate the shit out of somebody. Yeah, that's a great point. I want the Acolyte to make me fucking hate somebody in a good way, like Joffrey.
See, like I mentioned before, like there's two great villains. There's the Darth Vader, where everybody like, he's awesome. I want to wear his outfit. He's iconic. He just every time he's on screen, the situation, is changed. You get the chills.
Yeah.
And then there's the villain that's writing so good that if you ever see the actor in anything other again, you just get that like flashbacks of like, I just want to punch that guy in the face.
Joffrey. That is one of the best classic ones that people can think of in this certain age and frame. Or like Draco Malfoy. Yeah. Like, those guys are forever now little blonde dickheads because they can't ever be anything else because that writing was just too well done for that character, and they did a great job as said casted character. And like in Star Wars, it's like if you see Jabba the Hutt, you're like, oh, there's that slime ball. He's gonna womanize somebody, eat some small creature,
Yeah.
and be drug
But
daddled.
that's the funny thing with Star Wars is like they have such good iconic villains that
Hmm.
people idolize them, but you shouldn't. He's like, how many people
They're
Darth Vader
really
slaughtered?
bad.
How he slaughtered children? Like you shouldn't like him,
And
but
there
we
are people
do.
that straight up will go to bat for Anakin right now that what he did was not wrong, that it was because of the Jedi. It's all kinds of fun, silly stuff out there. I love it. I love the shit out of it. There are people who try to defend the old Republic Empire like they weren't a bunch of racist, genocidal freaks. And hey, again, Sith all day, every day, but like, they're
Yeah,
the bad guys.
I do hope we do. If we don't get a villain in Acolyte, which I kind of wish we, because it kind of seems like we're getting somebody that's not fully
Hmm.
dark yet. Um, I would like to get a villain on there that either yeah we get the just or we get a villain on that's brutal. Because
Yeah,
one other another trope I like with the bad guys is like that makes you question the good guys.
right.
That are the bad guys really the bad guys?
Well, and that's one of the things that has me the most excited for this is the way that Leslie and them were talking about it in recent interviews, where she said, in so many of the other Star Wars things, you rooted for the Jedi because it was the Jedi versus the
Yeah,
system. Well, now the Jedi are the system.
yeah.
I was
And
like, oh yeah.
it's such strong right because they one of my favorite a lot of my favorite storylines are that and it's like
Hmm.
you know um well one of the ones that comes to mind one of my favorite storylines is from Pokemon one of the Pokemon games is
Yeah.
it's the fifth gen and it's the character bad guy you get he's like what you assume is the leader of the bad guys and this whole thing is he befriends wild Pokemon that help him out and then he releases them and he like condemns and he
Is this
takes
black or
people's
white?
Pokemon. Yeah, he takes people's
Yeah.
Pokemon away and releases them. He's like, "You guys are using Pokemon."
Yeah. I love black and white.
It's such a good story because it makes you question, like, am I
Am I a
doing
bad
the
guy?
wrong thing? Like,
I always love that Whitest Kids You Know skit. They were dressed as German soldiers in World War II, so they were obviously the bad guys. But they're reading all these news articles like, hold
oh yeah.
on, are we doing this? Wait, are we the bad guys?
Well, yeah, and that's true. I mean, when you get into soldiers and even in the
Yeah.
Civil War, not everybody in the Confederate side were. They were just soldiers, and it's like with every bad army.
Yep.
You know, some of them don't even see the atrocities that you talk about. And most of the time, when you hear they're back at home, a lot of the people they get fed like the Germans got fed
Hmm.
lies to. The depictions of Jewish people and other people. They would they thought they were fed these lies, and I'm sure it's the same thing with the Empire.
Oh, dude, yeah. So,
Because
but
how we
hey,
see with like Andor.
deep down inside, never forget Luke Skywalker, when he blew up that Death Star, killed a lot of people who were just there to clean up the floor.
That's the funny joke is you can like if you look from a different perspective,
Yeah,
you could see him as this evil terrorist.
right.
Um,
It wasn't hard for the Empire to spin Luke Skywalker as a bad person because he just killed millions of innocent Imperials who had
and
nothing
that's
to
just the
do.
Death Star. We talk about him shooting down or attacking, Imperial bases, and
Yeah,
the same thing with the other rebel groups.
yeah.
Or you even have the more extreme rebel groups when you talk about Saw Gerrera and stuff like that. So we saw that I believe in Mandalorian. I think season 2 or season
Hmm.
1.
That's one of my
Um,
favorite things is when Star Wars looks at you and reminds you everything is different from a certain point of view.
And I hope we get a lot of that in this one. I hope we
Yeah.
get more of the view of the acolyte. I hope I'm rooting for the acolyte. And I'm like
Oh yeah. It's
keep
gonna be
reminding
great.
myself like this is the dark side. I'm like I'm rooting for the dark
Yeah,
side
let's
here.
go. Woo. Force choke a motherfucker. Yeah. If there
I hope the
everybody
Jedi are
everybody.
so pretentious that I hate them. That's what I really want. It's like I hope they're so annoying and pretentious that I don't want to root for them.
Yeah, I just want the dark side to win. Just slaughter them all. Let's go.
And they kind of were during the High Republic. I mean, that was like,
Yeah. Hey, from what Daphne and Keen was talking about too, it's going to be a really, really badass Darksider. It's going to be a really badass fight scenes and stuff. So, and all of this amazing non-lightsaber swinging we've had lately with, with great series like Andor's, with Bad Batches and stuff like that, it is nice to just get right back into force powers, lightsabers, ultimate good
if
versus ultimate evil.
if we get a cool Sith too,
Yeah.
like this ancient evil that shows up, or the acolyte turns into this person, and they get this, the classic Sith mask that
Hmm.
started with Darth Vader that we put on a Sith, because there's so many iconic Sith masks,
Yeah.
and I hope we get one, and I hope it never comes off.
Yeah.
I hope it stays on. I hope we don't get it on for like a second, it comes off, we never see it again.
Just a symbol of terror.
Like, don't get me started on Kylo Ren and why I think that was terrible to do.
No,
His
I'm
mask
I'm
could have been
I'm
so
very
much more
excited.
iconic if he
Yeah,
left it on.
true,
We got it till
true.
the third season or the third movie.
Yeah. No,
I mean,
I'm super stoked for the way that this is going to continue going. Not to mention how yeah, like with what you were talking about, I really do think that this is going to be a new darkness. It's going to be like a future feeler for a lot of the cool Sith dark side nuts. It's going to be happening throughout Star Wars with the Rey stuff, with the Dawn of the Jedi things coming out. It's gonna be
yeah.
it's gonna be very mind bending. And yeah, we want them to be a badass evil person who are like, oh yeah, this guy, because most of the most badass Sith, when you find out why they became Sith, they're like, yeah, my planet was being destroyed by this, cult. So I learned the dark side of the Force so I could destroy them and save everybody and save my planet. And then I
And
just kept taking and taking what I
help,
wanted.
help me not be fully like have this like that guilt in my head when
Hmm.
I'm walking around like I could go to like like Batu and I walk around with the red lightsaber. Don't let me in the head like I'm the bad guy walking around like
Yeah.
evil. Like give me something like to root for once. You don't have to be.
And that's why people love Old Republic Sith and like
Yeah,
the things like this is because there's a
that's
bit
that's
more generality
that's
and people are generally more in line with the
yeah.
dark side whether they like to admit it or not because we're emotional creatures. That's why the dark
Well, that's
side's
the
so
thing
freaking
is
cool.
part of the thing I hated about George Lucas's writing is he never left room for much gray area.
Hmm.
It was either extreme to the next. He
Yeah.
didn't really he wasn't a big fan of the Dark Jedi and stuff like that, or the Gray Jedi. That wasn't really his thing.
Yep.
Um, and he was a big fan of light and dark, and you saw in most of his writings it was like that, and the movies it's like that.
Hmm.
Um, there's a time and a place, and it's awesome. But I also, as we mature in writings and how things are, like we're past the Superman comic era age.
Right.
We're okay to mix things up.
But we're also past the paranormal activity. Everything should be the most evil,
Yeah,
grotesque shit in the world. So, like a nice middle ground where
yeah
you like the bad
please,
guy, but you
yeah.
don't want him to succeed because you know what he's going to do isn't good per se. But if he did succeed, you wouldn't. Okay, well maybe it wouldn't be so bad for the whole galaxy.
And and don't keep the filter that a lot
Hmm.
of movies use. It makes sense for things like Andor when it's a bleak time and things, but during this, things should be bright and colorful.
Yeah.
Um, During the High Republic, we shouldn't see a lot of mud and red
Right.
and dark and
From what we've seen in the trailers, keep it up though.
yeah.
Lots of lightsabers, lots of bright colored tunics, lots of well lit environments and stuff. Like I'm excited. I'm so excited for this. And
This is the colorful era.
yeah.
That's the one thing I hate about like modern depictions of medieval times. Like
Mm.
people wore
It's all
colors back
brown.
then.
It's all brown, dark green, and black, beige.
Everybody wore colors. It was colorful back then. Look at the
Everyone,
artwork.
no. You say everyone shit on themselves, and they shit in the streets. They did. Hey, biggest misconception. If there's one thing from this podcast you take away from you today, no one shit in the fucking streets. They wouldn't. They couldn't live in it then. Like they didn't just throw buckets of feces out their windows. Thank you for coming to my TED talk. Now back onto Star Wars. This is going to be brilliant, and I want them to just be throwing shit out their windows. I want them to just be
Well,
going nuts.
I would say London, and I think the 1800s did. It was very, very filthy. They didn't like throw it
Yeah,
on but it was extremely
that
filthy.
was entirely different. That was the filthiest thing that ever happened. Like that was gross. That's why
It
it
was a
burned
very
down.
filthy. It was a very filthy time in London and stuff like that.
But in the
But
medieval period, they didn't.
uh,
They were way cleaner.
but yeah, when this is the High Republic to me is like the late medieval times.
Yeah.
When it's like you think of like Camelot and like
Hmm.
colorful, it's like the mythical times. I
Yeah.
want to see like Star Wars versions of a dragon or something. I want to, some cool, some grandiose.
And from what we've seen in the books, that's what we've been getting. Like we've been getting these
Yeah,
big, larger than life enemies with larger than life, creatures and monsters and love triangles and stuff like that. So like it's very packed with all kinds of craziness. And for this one to be the birth of what will become the future dark side in the Phantom Menace and so many other things like that, this has a lot of great potential, and I think it's really going to shine off of that potential. I think it's going to do a really good job. Let us know down in the comments section what you guys think for the future of the dark side. What are you most excited for this upcoming Star Wars universe, especially those things aligning on the more renounced side that a Jedi would not normally teach you. Let us know your thoughts on this week's episode, or just in general thoughts on the videos and the channel. Make sure to put those in there too, guys. Thank you all so much for stopping by. Have an amazing rest of your week. We look forward to the finale of Bad Batch coming up soon. It's going to be sad, but it's going to be good. And we have so many more amazing things coming for Star Wars in the future. May the 4th is right around the corner. Well, again, have an amazing time, guys. Thank you all so much for stopping by this evening. And as always, may the Force serve you well.
may the Force be with you.